Rise, minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here. We are back for another episode of The Rise. This one is gonna be something. We'll see. Last one was something, and I didn't think it was gonna be something, and I think this one might be something, and who knows? Maybe it won't be. But if you guys like what we do here, if you guys like what we do here and you want to support the channel, the best way to do it is just like these fine folks over here by joining us over on our Patreon. Link in the description down below. If you're new to the Patreon or you're old to the Patreon, go recheck out the different tiers. There have been minor tweaks to almost all of them. Some of the things will be coming soon once I figure out exactly how to do them. But there'll be some cool stuff happening over on the Patreon. That being said, while you're clicking on that link, make sure you click on the Discord link right below that. Join us in the Discord, be a part of the community, be a part of the conversation. And as always, in the bottom right corner is the corruption bar. That bar serves two purposes. One is when that bar fills, I will do something, I don't know, probably horrible to everyone you see here. But two, every single dollar that goes into that bar goes back to this channel for all kinds of amazing things like editing, lights, equipment, artwork, mortgages, childcare, fun things, the fun things in life. And with that, I turn things over to me, our illustrious GM, previously on The Rise. Guys, remember if I only had the bottom half chaos. That's something you would know if you were in the green room. Previously on The Rise, over a quiet dinner, the godlings reunited with old family while tension brewed between Antares and Orelthus, culminating in a clash of words and will. Orelthus, once the god of valor, shattered her spear to reclaim her divinity, revealing the piece of Mina's lost love and reigniting her godhood in a display of blinding power. Overwhelmed by the event, Corax fell into a vision of the fall of the gods and glimpsed the annihilation seed, an ancient, unknowable force now stirring in the deep. When last we left our intrepid heroes, you were all around the makeshift Han house. Corax is laying in bed. He had just woken up saying something terrible is happening. Mina was crouched beside his mother, who was also laid down on the bed. The family was praying over her. Corax's family was also praying over him. A few of them were. And Terry's, and we'll say Seydlitz, are both outside while this is happening. And while this is happening, you see, Antares, you see the broken haft of the spear still smoldering.
Okay.
You see power, sort of like the waves on a hot grill, sort of coming off of this. You see these waves echo outward, ripple outward, and you hear the air change around you. And then you hear something else. It begins as a rumble, subtle at first, easily mistaken for the natural groaning of the deep. But then the stone beneath your feet shudders, and from somewhere, impossibly far away, perhaps miles, perhaps moments, there comes a sound. A howl. Low at first. Two voices, impossibly deep, overlapping like a nightmare in harmony. A sound like dying thunder, howling through a cavern of broken monuments. The air in your lungs turns cold. The light of the fires around the town flicker, then gutter. Back inside the house, Orelthus' head snaps to the west, her expression sharpened to steel. The night beast. She looks to Mina. It knows. Another tremor, stronger this time. Dust falls from the towering colossus fragments around you. You hear someone scream. Eve is already shouting inside the house. You see her run out. She looks one last look at Corax, runs out through the house, past Antares, past Seydlitz, and she begins shouting to the other people in the town. This 11-year-old girl taking charge. She says, "We have to go! We have to go!" Orelthus turns to you again, Mina. Her eyes shine in a light you've never seen before. I can hold its gaze, but not forever. If you have questions, ask them now and run. She plants a hand beside her, raises a knee to her chest, and begins to stand up. You see power exude from your mother, unlike any wrath of motherhood you have ever been on the receiving end of. You need to find Lucerin. He can lead you deeper. I'll buy you time. You need to make this quick. And she reaches down for your hand.
Mina takes her hand and goes to stand up, and then pulls her into a hug.
You go to like pull her. She goes to pull you up, and you rise into that hug. And there's a moment where you feel a rigid body, and then you feel a bit of softness as she does place that arm around you, and embrace you as a son and not as a god.
And then Mina just whispers to her, "Keep them safe." And then he turns around and says, "We need to find Seydlitz."
You all hear a second howl, closer than the first. The ground rumbles again. Antares, Seydlitz, you're outside. The town, the makeshift shanty town around you erupts in chaos. What are the two of you doing?
I think in this moment that panic erupts, she's standing and looking around, almost like she's trying to get her bearings, and she grabs a person like running by her, and she says, "Is there a safe place where you guys can go? Do you have a shelter?"
This person looks at you with terror, and they say, he young kid, probably about a little bit younger than you, a little bit older than some of your companions, but a little bit younger than you. He turns to you and he says, "No, there's nowhere safe. This place is a nightmare." And he tries to like break whatever grasp you have on him to continue.
She lets him go. And how many people are here again in this camp?
There's not many. I believe there was only like I think it was like in like the 60s of people.
Oh, yeah, that's still a lot. Shit. Okay.
I mean, not many when you consider the population of the town before it was.
Yeah, yeah. I think she will step forward and raise her and like turn on her nimbus. She's trying to get people's attention, and she goes, everybody, gather around, please. We have to try and stay calm. We all have to move together. Something is coming, and we need to get out."
Go ahead and give me a DC 4. This will be like an intelligence or like an intimidation, depending on how you want to play this. Difficulty 4 roll, and you can have a bonus for your Nimbus or an asset for your Nimbus.
Sure. My bold.
Yeah.
I have a bold of a skill.
Okay.
It just means that I'm trained against all actions for overcoming fear and intimidation, but
I'll give you an asset for
have...
that as well. I'll give you an asset for that. So you have 2 assets.
Okay. Difficulty 4. Oopsie. Sorry, wrong one. Difficulty 4. I'm not going to spend effort. 2 assets.
Okay. Fantastic. You call that out, and more than enough people stop to pay attention.
Yeah, and so she's just like, everyone. Yeah, it's like, we need to stay calm. We need to move together. Please get your family together. And she's like, just trying to get everyone in one spot and standing still. and not trying to control the chaos.
Yeah. You see people move off to like gather family. You see people that are like sort of like like Titanic panic, right? They're just like grabbing things and like just like whatever that rocks, whatever is near them, they're just grabbing things in like a panic to just like have something to hold on to as they freak the hell out. Realistically. But some people, you see people like drop their things. They focus on like grabbing family. And there is still chaos, but it is now slightly more controlled than it was before. While you are attempting to control said chaos, Seydlitz, what are you doing? You're also outside with all of this happening.
Sorry, this is the after effect of missing last episode. Just trying to mentally catch up. Even if I did watch the VOD.
So you're outside the house. You see the chaos unfolding. You see Antares is doing her best to like get a hold of what the hell's happening.
I think Seydlitz would probably go over to Antares to assist her in trying to get a hold of the chaos, simply on the basis of if he's been asked to make a choice of help these people get out or carry on going deeper, and now the kind of when the Night Beast kind of shows up, the choice is being kind of rushed on him, and he isn't sure.
Okay. So you're trying to help, like, manage what's happening in here. All right. So we see the two of you sort of, like, directing people, gathering attention, sort of, like, organizing the town. We cut back inside. Korax, the last thing you did was wake up on the bed and sort of mumble to yourself that something bad has woken up here. You see Arelphus or Aurel utter this out, that the Night Beast is here. The Night Beast, she can hold it off for a limited amount of time, but you need to run. And then she gets up, and you see her briefly hugging Mina. What are you doing? You see your sister take off as if she's in charge of the family in I don't know, in your absence. And other members of your family are confused about what's happening as well. What are you doing?
So Korax is going to look to Arel. And he's going to start to stand without waiting for her to finish tending to Mina. And if they break their hug, he's going to look to her and he says, if it's after me, should I just take off in a direction?
She looks to you, and there's a moment of, like, genuine confusion on her face. Like, you just said something that she has never considered. And she looks to you, and there's that, like, it's patronizing if someone else did it, but it's not patronizing when it comes from your parent. And she looks to you and she says, "It's not here for you. It's here for me."
Well, it shouldn't get you.
It's not going to.
Well, you were going to lead the others out, and we were going to go deeper.
I'm still going to lead them out.
While being chased by that?
Well, yes.
Well, what direction do you want us to point the others in? We don't have a map out.
I will lead them. I will take them. You don't have to point
Korax
them in any
looks at Mina.
Mina just says, we need to find that way out first. In the meantime, Mum, Arelphus will keep the Night Beast occupied, but we have to run.
Sweetheart, there's no time. You're not... Neither... You're new at this. There is no time. This is not a conversation I'm having with you as your mother. This is a conversation we are having as what we truly are. You will not be finding a way up. You will not be helping the village. You have your own task set to you by fate herself. You will accomplish this task. You must go. Where you go from here is entirely up to you. Lucerin may be able to help you. You may stumble through the darkness and find your own way. But you, as strong as you and your companions are, you are not strong enough to fight that.
Before she finishes that sentence, the last few words, Korak stands up and he basically starts to run out the door.
Okay.
He is looking for Eve.
Okay. I will say you head out the door and you see that Antares and Seydlitz have sort of controlled the flow, and they're like organizing people as if to like an evacuation sort of thing. And you see like more or less like the liaison between gods and survivors. Eve is sort of acting as that. She is assisting Antares and Seydlitz as she's like, what few members of your family did not go pray at your side. She's talking to them. She's talking to other people that she knows in the town as the survivors, and like helping to get them. Okay, get this. Do you have this? Get this. We need water. We need this. Right. So she's sort of doing that kind of thing as Antares and Seydlitz are doing the more like high level organization. But you see her. She is out there in the normal crowd.
Korax is going to run to her.
Okay. She doesn't even notice you come up at first. You like startle her, and she says, "Yeah, we need."
He picks her up into a big hug, and he like says loud enough that anyone within the near vicinity would hear him. He looks and he says, "You're in charge. Keep everyone safe. Get the family out of here, but follow Arel. She will keep you safe. We need to go the other way."
She smiles, like you can feel, she squeezes you back, and you hear, like as you have her scooped, right? You hear, "I was never not in charge."
I know, but I will tell the others then.
Okay.
Just so they don't disagree.
Okay. Good luck.
We've got fate.
Good luck.
He smiles, which she doesn't obviously see, but squeezes her a little bit tighter, and then puts her back on the ground. Says, "We'll see you soon."
You better. And you see her like hit the ground and start moving again. Where do you go from here?
He turns and shouts to Mina and to Antares and Seydlitz and says, "We've got another way to go. Erel's going to get them safe. We need to find Lucerin."
And Terry's
That's our
like,
task.
she like does a double take between the crowd and to Eve and to Korax, and she walks over to him, and she's like, "You're going with them. You're going with her."
Nope. We have a job by fate. We don't have a choice.
You can't abandon your family.
We're not. We're saving them. If we find Lucerin and we find that map, we save them. If we don't, they all die.
I don't understand that logic.
If they can't get out of here, what do you think's going to happen to them?
Well, if none of us can get out of here, then it's a massacre. But the thing is, we're tempting on fate. Yes, we understand that fate is a goddess, but she is whimsical, is she not?
She's our only hope. Unless you want to fight it, it's the next best thing.
If it weren't for the fact that I was a god, I was turning into a god before my very eyes, I would have walked the other way at this.
Well, then let's get this over with. And she's going to look to Mina for him to join us.
He's still
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I think after Korax left, you see Mina salute his mum and then turn to Aldorn, and it's probably an overtired family joke, but he just says to him, keep her safe, and then he bolts out the door.
Your dad, the last thing you see is that, like, knowing dad smile. As that is a played out joke, but it is a joke in a time where people need jokes. And you bolt out the door, and you see waiting for you are Seydlitz and Terry's and Korax.
Mina just looks at them. Oh, what are you waiting for? Let's go.
We're waiting for you. And she will, like, turn to go. Like, she doesn't know where we're supposed to be going to look for this guy, so...
Do any of you?
Mina looks at Seydlitz and says, can you find him?
I forget. It's been 2 months, but honestly, it's like didn't Mina's mom point Seydlitz in a direction?
She did point you in a direction, yes. So you have a heading at least.
I forget what the heading.
That's okay. You don't have to remember the heading. If you're going in that heading, that's all you have to say. And then I'll let you move. Yeah. I'm not gonna be like, remember that direction I gave you arbitrarily several months ago? Well, what was it?
What that means is Mike can't remember the direction he gave you either. So you could have said anything and Mike would just agree.
Norm, how the fuck dare you? Okay? How... It's bad enough when you guess all my plots. There's no need to shine a light on what we all know to be true, okay? Rude. Upsetting and rude. So you go in a direction.
We run in a direction.
Hold on. Seydlitz will point off. You know what? Because I feel like it. He will point off to the northwest.
Okay. You head to the northwest. Which is exactly the same direction I gave you several months ago, as luck would have it.
I totally didn't open my notes and look.
Yeah, of course. So the information you have, right, is that there is a person named Lucerin who belonged to a Delver's Guild. Who has been living down here. I believe you also have some rumors about, like, perhaps he may have his whole crew may have not be alive anymore for some reason. Are you running there? How are you guys getting there? Yes?
Yeah, we're running.
Full charge? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think there is much of an option other than to run.
Listen, I won't limit you. You guys can walk casually. You can fly to the left a little bit.
Everybody's marching in lockstep.
Yeah, perfect. Seydlitz, go ahead and give me a navigation. This is gonna be a navigation check, like a tracking. If you have any stats in that, this is gonna be a difficulty 6.
Well, I have navigation.
Let's see what happens. Ooh. Do we want
the dice have hated?
No push?
Doesn't that mean you're spending XP?
Yes, if you want to spend an XP. Do you have any XP to spend?
I have 1.
Okay. Entirely up to you.
I shall retry. The dice have never been my friend.
And they continue to not be your friend.
To not be my friend.
They continue to leave you stranded in the dirt. You head off northwest, carrying whatever clothing, goods, backpacks were on your person as you quickly get out of this town. A couple more glances over the shoulder as you all collectively head off into the distance. And you see the town. You see Arel sort of come out. You can't make out the words, but you can hear her voice issuing direction to the town and sort of taking command of this. And then anyone who wants to look back, what you see is Arel standing atop like one of the stairs at the Stair of the Colossi, and she is holding what looks to be like two glowing sticks as she reforges her spear back together, and you see her raise it up, looking at the town, and then looks out, and you watch this glow, this bright, like golden-hued glow, illuminates the surrounding around her, and you hear as the ground is rumbling, followed by another set of howls that shriek through the sky. Fortunately, that is coming from a direction to the west. Not exactly the same direction you all are coming. But you proceed to run haphazardly to the northwest. Little to no
Haphazardly? Really?
Haphazardly. It's chaos in only the upper half. You guys have no lower body chaos. It's all upper body chaos as you run haphazardly to the northwest into the darkness that is the third deep, the steps of the Colossi. You trundle your way through this area. It is quiet. You heard movement before as you came down here. You heard the shifting sounds of stone. It's as though the occasional howl and the gentle rumble of whatever beast in the distance is moving has stifled all other sound. Are you guys using any sort of illumination?
Thurs will have her nimbus going dimly, enough so they can see, nothing to draw extra attention.
Anyone else? Okay, perfect. You guys continue racing. I will take a. I'm gonna increase the difficulty here. So this is gonna be a difficulty 6. This is like a general awareness. This would be like if we were in D&D, this is like a perception sort of check. So this would be difficulty 6, perceiving the world around you check.
Is this just for Seydlitz?
This is for everybody.
Okay. Are our pools back up to normal? You're muted.
I sure am. You guys spent one night in town, right?
Nope.
No, you didn't. You didn't. You can take the one round, the 10-minute, the 10-hour rest. I think that's the first 3, right? You just can't take the full.
No. 10 hours is the full.
Okay, you can take everything but the full. You definitely had at least an hour of downtime there. And then just go ahead and roll those difficulty 6 perception checks.
Difficulty 6. Shit, that didn't roll properly.
I was going to say, did you mean to roll a D36?
No.
Okay.
3d6. I'm like, that doesn't look right.
What's with the plus 15, just out of curiosity?
Well, because I get +5 if I'm making 3 recovery rolls.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I still got the same total.
Failure for Mina to perceive things. Let's see what happens.
Can I argue identifying or assessing danger?
Yes, you may.
Yeah, I don't have anything for perceiving.
Finding the details. Like?
I'll take finding the details.
of the surroundings.
I'll take finding the details.
Hooray, success.
And you said it was
Hooray,
difficulty
success. I actually got something.
Difficulty 6.
Nice. The book nerd sees things.
The book nerd sees things. Outstanding. You all head northwest, the only direction offered to you. Beyond the perimeter of the camp, the ruins rise like broken gods. Cracked arches, sunken avenues, and colossal statues. Some shattered, others watching with blind, weeping eyes. The terrain here was never meant for creatures your size. The road beneath your feet is 15 feet wide, the curbs carved not for wagons but for the boots of titans. Obelisks lean like fallen towers, half buried in debris and wrapped in hanging cables of petrified ivy. Despite the scale, the world feels still. Then a flicker of movement. Seydlitz, Korax, a shadow slipping between archways. A gust of wind carries a single high note of music, delicate and warbling, like a flute played on a cracked bone. You're not sure it was real, but it did come from the northwest. And as you look around, running, getting your bearings, you feel, but don't see, eyes watching you. Countless eyes from every direction. What do you do?
Korax is going to slow a little bit. Not necessarily to fall behind, but he would be slowing slightly, looking left and right until he says something, lots of somethings is watching us. I can't see them, but I'm sure they're there.
Yeah, I saw it too. There is something out here.
Well, this is just great. This whole thing's bullshit.
Angry Terry's back with a vengeance.
This whole scenario is bullshit.
Fuck this place.
Yeah.
I hate it here. I didn't even want to come here.
Yeah.
You guys look around and sort of acclimate to where you are. And you find yourselves, it takes a minute to really register given the scale of things. But you realize you are in what makes for a plaza. Like, this is like you're on a sort of main road. And had you been much, much taller, this would be like the central market area in Samora. Or at least the ruins of that. So you see there are the remnants of these massive buildings. You see walls with ruined mosaic murals of giants. You see chained monstrosities and chained beasts here. And in the distance, in the direction you are moving, you see what is probably a 15-foot tall head sat neck down, face out. In the direction you are, in the direction you were going, in the generally northwestern direction.
Sorry, just ahead.
Just ahead. Yep.
Like an actual head, or like a
seen you
skeleton
more
head?
skeptical, Chris. Just from this distance, it just looks like a head.
Is it moving?
It's not.
Mm.
Chris, that was the most offended question. Ahead?
Size-wise, how does it compare to the Colossus-y thingy that we fought after the mushroom people made us go and fight something to kill us?
It feels appropriate. It feels appropriately sized.
What?
To the giant thing, the giant colossus that you guys fought.
Okay. What about the bottom half?
No chaos from the bottom.
Okay.
No, it's just a head. Just a head at ground level. Just a 15-foot tall head
Korax.
at ground level.
Korax starts just low and he says, that looks very similar to something we killed recently, size-wise at least.
And we're gonna pass it if we keep on this trajectory.
You're gonna run into it if you keep going straight. Like you have to it's like a stone in a river. Like you have to go around it.
Yeah, okay. No, I don't move around things. Things move for me. No, I'm just kidding. We'll just and Tara's just gonna keep heading towards it, and let's see what happens. It seems to like she's gonna say that's like the most. I don't want to say the weirdest thing that we've seen so far while we're here, but it's the first piece of like the first sign of an actual, I don't know, creature thing like that. There's no other statues anywhere, right? Like that's the only thing we've come across.
Well, I mean, Seydlitz and Korax did feel the presence of eyes and did hear something. And as you entered, you did see in the distance that there were large creatures moving around. They just weren't fucking with you guys at the time.
Okay. Well, Terry's just going to keep going.
Okay. Is everyone else following?
Yeah, Mina just running beside Antares.
Okay. So collectively, the four of you, continue to sprint down this main, or what would have been a main thoroughfare, only illuminated by Antares' nimbus. Thus why it is incredibly hard for all of you to see. As you get closer and closer, you see that this is a 15-foot giant head. You see that it is at neck level with the ground, and you see, as you get closer, you see more and more features. The eyes are closed and lidded, and the mouth is wide open, as if like stretched in a yawn. But the closer you get, not that you know the physiological makeup of the Colossus, but this appears to be a stone head. So there's no it seems to be just like a statue. And it is planted in the middle of this plaza. You can see that the area, the row you're on sort of extends out to the left and to the right, sort of forming essentially what is a town square. The path widens onto a vast stone plaza ringed with toppled columns and fractured archways, all built on a scale meant for creatures that dwarfed cities. The ground is cracked with age and upheaval. Among the rubble lie scattered pieces of monolithic statuary. Arms the size of buildings, broken swords longer than city walls, and shattered marble tablets with glyphs worn smooth by time. At the center of the plaza rests something too whole to ignore. A colossal head, half buried in the stone, carved from some pale green stone that still glimmers faintly in the gloom. Its expression is stoic, almost mournful, its mouth wide open, a tunnel large enough for all of you to walk in through upright. Within the mouth, as you guys approach, etched in a colossal script, are some words. He who walks with silence walks not alone. Speak no names, linger no longer than needs demand. This place remembers what it was before the fall. Korax, Seydlitz. Again, you hear a sound, a lilting note, unmistakably the sound of a flute. As you guys approach this head, what do you guys do?
So it looks like we can go into the mouth.
It does.
As they're approaching, she's gonna check the ground. She doesn't have any tracking skills, but does it look like there has been creatures, humanoids coming in and out of this space?
Go ahead and roll me a difficulty 5. Searching, tracking.
I don't have anything like that, but I'll just roll base.
Mike, can you drop that text in the chat?
Yeah, of course I can.
She sees nothing.
It's hard to tell, right? The cobblestones, or like the stones, like the brickwork that makes up the street, is fucking huge. So finding like what is like it's pitted, and like to find like what dirt has collected here over centuries is it's hard to tell.
And how big is this mouth entrance?
Big enough for you to stand upright inside of it.
Okay, so a giant ain't coming through here.
Correct.
Yeah. What do you guys think of this?
I don't think this is Lutheran.
What about in there? Is it worth checking out? Matt, you were muted.
Now everyone's muted and it's so quiet.
Corax, what about you?
He's reading books like a nerd.
Corax is reading the words. I don't think he responds to Antares.
She will glance at him. What does he... Does he just look like he's thinking about something?
Yeah, because he's reading the words that were written there, and it talks about walking in silence. So I think he would be conscious of that, and probably start with taking it literally. And Mike, you said that we could enter the mouth of this thing?
It is big enough for you to walk into.
He would then slowly do a 360 turn, just looking out into the darkness. Does he see anything moving in the dark?
Go ahead and give me that difficulty. What did I say? 5? Difficulty 5? Looking around check.
Yeah, success.
Perfect. So are you just... yeah, you know what? You look around, and you see a number of these yellow eyes, sets of 2, from behind, like legs of statues, pieces of like detritus. You see in basically all directions, because you can't see past the head, so all directions to the left, behind, and right of you, you can see 2 sets of beady eyes looking out at you.
Corax would keep turning until he sees Antares, and then he looks to her and he just puts his finger on his lips and then just motions to look out, and he would start to back his way towards the mouth.
I will also say on that success, you also smell the lingering but old smell of incense. Like incense had been burned some time ago.
He sort of shakes his head and shrugs, and then puts his hands together as if to say praying. And again, he's going to continue to move towards that open mouth.
Okay.
And Terry's will follow him.
And Terry's,
Yeah.
when you were assessing the situation, did you say specifically? Did you say, "What do you think," or did you address Korax by name?
She would have just looked at him.
Okay.
I said his name just so you guys know who I'm talking to.
So Korax is slowly moving towards the head. What is everyone else doing?
First, mic check. Can I be heard?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm following him.
Okay.
Seydlitz would kind of nod at Korax, having gotten the same ideas. Okay, we just need to be quiet, and follows behind.
Okay.
Yeah, Mina just falls into step behind them, wary that that Korax indicated there was something around them, and prepared to protect them if need be.
Korax, as the one who saw things, you maneuver towards the head, ignoring the scent of lingering incense. You watch as your companions sort of fall in around you, and you can't help but, like, keep that head on a swivel, and you watch as the eyes sort of bob and slink closer and closer. Remaining behind whatever makes for cover and debris, they just continue to lope forward, as if pressing you in to the direction you were already going.
Chris thinks this is a bad idea, but Korax thinks it's the right thing to do.
What? That's crazy. That's crazy. I would never. I would never, guys. I'm here for you. Jesus. I'm getting so much shade in this episode. It's crazy. It's a crazy time. You begin, I'll say correct dangerously enough. You go first. You step into the gaping mouth of this massive stone head. The echo of your footsteps. Oh, go ahead.
As he enters, he would treat it much like he would any temple. The smell of incense and the reason he gave his like hands as if to say praying, it was just to kind of indicate to people that this could be a temple, and he would treat it with the same reverence he would any temple. So he bows his head and goes in quiet and moves slowly. Okay.
As you step into the gaping maw of the massive stone head, the echo of your footsteps is swallowed by unnatural stillness. The air is cooler here, touched with a faint scent of old incense and polished stone, as if someone had once worshipped or mourned within these jaws. The interior is not merely hollow, it is shaped. Stone ribs arch along the ceiling, framing a vaulted space like the inside of a cathedral or a forgotten temple. Runes, long faded, are carved into the wall, some cracked and some cracked and illegible, others still faintly glowing with a blue-green light that pulses gently like a heartbeat. As you move deeper, your footsteps echo strangely, bouncing off the curved walls and returning slightly distorted, as if trying to talk back to you. At the far end, just beyond where the uvula might hang if this were flesh, lies a raised platform, and atop it, a pedestal holding what looks like a half-burned candle, fashioned from twisted bone and golden wax. There is no flame, but the wick smolders, curling with smoke that forms symbols in the air before vanishing. The sound of the flute is gone, but the impression of being watched remains. What do you do?
Do these symbols keep coming up constantly in the smoke?
They do.
Korax is going to pull out a notepad and he's going to write them down as they appear over the next minute or so.
Interesting. They are seemingly letters in an ancient script. A script that you know that given time you can decipher, but at the top of your mind, you don't know what they say. But they don't appear to be full words. They appear to be either a fragment of a word, like the first 2 letters, or maybe the last 2 letters. But they seem to be, and they as you watch, they come less and less frequent.
Do they seem to loop? at all?
They don't.
Okay, like he would do this for about a minute. So whatever anyone else is doing in that time.
Seydlitz and Teres, Mina, you watch as he is examining this altar.
So is this space bigger on the inside than it's supposed to be?
It does feel that way.
Because you said there was like a vaulted ceiling, like a cathedral. But it's
Well,
only
I mean,
15 feet high.
you entered into a mouth, and
Yeah,
there's still a head.
yeah.
So, like, once
Okay.
you came out of the mouth of the tunnel, it opened up into head. But yes, it does seem to be slightly bigger than what you expected it to be. I mean, to be fair, you also didn't, like, take a lap around it and see how far back it went.
Okay. I think she's just gonna wait, and she's gonna have her hand on her sword, as per usual.
Is your Nimbus still glowing?
Yeah, unless someone tells me to turn it off, it'll still be glowing.
You can see there is while Korax is like locked in to this candle, this altar, you can see that there is something on the ground, like decoratively on the ground, like the way you would like in like certain buildings, they sort of like make the tile look like a symbol or a logo or whatever. There's something on the ground around where you guys are.
She will try and examine it, and she will like try and sweep. And if there's dust on it, she'll try and sweep it clear.
Yeah. You sort of waft away some of this dust, and you look around, and you see what is essentially a huge mural. It is scarred, it is scratched, it is weathered, but you see there's a huge mural, and you kind of like move back and maybe get a little bit of a higher vantage, away from the altar that Korax is examining. But you see that there is a mosaic on the floor inside this skull that depicts a massive city, a golden city in the sky. You see that there are enormous people on the ground looking up at the city, and you see a lance of black lightning hit this city, and you can see that the faces of the people looking up are terrified.
And she will be like, "Look at this. Looks like a depiction of maybe what happened here."
Mike, are there any sconces on the wall or anything like that that can indicate somewhere we can set a light or a torch?
There are sconces on the wall that a torch would go into. What I will say is they are they're not like a wrought iron sconce. There are like almost like calcium deposits that sort of hook and you can slide something into if you had a torch.
I think torches are a part of Mina's adventuring kit.
That sounds right.
Mina will light a torch and pop it into one of the sconces.
Okay. And Teres, as the first to speak, and the only one to speak so far, you hear, as if whispered beside you, "He hears through the stone. Do not wake what sleeps beneath."
She like goes to like swear, but doesn't say anything.
Korax, the symbols have stopped.
Once the symbols stop, Korax takes his piece of paper, rolls it up, tucks it away with all of his writing utensils, and then out of his bag, he pulls the scale that he found on the statue, the altary statue.
Yeah.
And he places it onto the altar here. and he's just going to look across the altar to see if there's anything else on or around it.
You look around. You don't see anything on or around it. And at first you take that at face value, and then you realize that unlike everything else, you also don't see a layer of dust or debris on this. This table is cleared of anything other than the candle.
He would take a few steps back, then turn and look at the mural that Antares had pointed out. And he nods to what she had said, where it does look like the fall. Is there... I would like to use one of my abilities on here, Mike.
Yeah.
One of my new ones.
Go for it.
Omniscience. You scan an area equal to a 3-foot cube, including all objects and creatures within that area. Sound good?
What is it? What are you scanning for? What is the?
You gain, where's it go? You learn whatever facts the GM feels are pertinent about the matter and energy in that area, but not repercussions. For example, you might learn that a wooden box contains a device of metal and crystal. You might learn that the glass cylinder is full of poisonous gas, and that there are runes surrounding it on the floor, and they are magical, but you won't know what the runes do. Does that make sense?
Go for it. Spend whatever you spend. I don't think it's a roll associated with this. You notice a couple things. One, Antares and your first assessment was not far off. This does look like the fall, but upon further inspection, this looks like a fall. Not yours. The creatures looking up in horror at the flying city do not match the size and structure of what you think to be modern day denizens of the Afterworld. As though this is a fall, not your fall. You also know that the candle obviously was recently lit. The candle does seem to resonate with some kind of magic. You feel a certain kinship to this magic, in that you think whatever this candle is, whatever it does, or whatever is being prayed to in it, either involves or touches the sphere of knowledge. And I'll also say, you see human-sized footprints that are semi-recent.
If he feels a kinship to that candle, he would look to light it then.
Okay. Yeah, you look around at this mosaic, you look around at the ground, you look around at the area around you, you turn, you strike a flint and steel, or maybe you just walk over and get a little bit of flame on a piece of paper from the torch that Mina had lit, and you place it to the wick. The wick flares in this orange amber light, sort of illuminating further the room beyond the torch that Mina had lit. And the candle, the wick flickers and sputters, and the flame goes very long. Like this flame is probably like a good 6-7 inches long. So like, I don't know, what is that? 10 centimeters? Long. And you can see the black tendrils of smoke that flicker off the tip are swirling into words as it fades out. And you can see little words and little images inside the fire at the tip of this candle.
Are these showing whole words now, or
Yes.
still partial words?
Yep.
And are they in the language that he doesn't understand?
You spend time looking at this, and with the time you spent before examining the letters, you look at this this flickering flame, and you look at the tendrils of smoke coming out of this, and in doing so, there is a very slight, but that pain that sort of runs across your mind as you are learning new words. You don't know what the words are, but you intrinsically understand them. These are the names of gods, which strikes you as strange because you, an adherent, grown up in the worship of the gods, you are familiar with the gods. But you know you just saw the god of earth, and you do not know that name. You know you saw a god of magic, and you do not know that name. And your mind reels back to this vision in darkness that you saw. You are not the first. And this candle knows that. It is calling out names that have been erased from history.
Korax hurriedly pulls out a piece of paper again, and he writes down as many names as he can. I don't think he would spend more than probably 2 minutes on that, taking down as many names as he can, and sort of their title. So if it is God of Earth, he'd write Bob, God of Earth, and just get that list.
Okay. What is everyone else doing as Korax is entranced by this flame?
Mina would just be pacing around just the inside wall to see if there's an exit or whether it's just a room that goes around and there's only one entrance and exit.
The latter. There is only one entrance and exit.
Seydlitz is standing guard at said entrance and exit.
Seydlitz, go ahead and roll me a difficulty 4. Sensing danger, ambush, perception roll here. Oh, you're muted.
Sensing ambush is just an enabler, which means I can't be surprise attacked.
Okay. Sense danger, whatever your sensing roll is. Outstanding. Seydlitz, you stand at the mouth of this mouth. Looking out, crossbow at the ready, and you see what Korax felt and said. Eyes. Sets of 2 eyes. Pairs. Darting all around you in the distance that you can see. Slowly moving. This sort of like loping side to side, bobbing motion. And you hear low growls and the sound of bone scratching across stone. And then you see them. A half dozen wolves? Lupine creatures? They are long. They are far too long than should be of wolves. They are probably like 8 feet long. You see their hind legs raise higher on haunches than their front legs. They kind of tilt back down. And you see them less moving in the way that wolves or lupine creatures do, and more in the way that a human would crawl on all fours, where their legs don't move forward naturally, but their joints sort of move out to the side as if pulling themselves along. And you watch as their what you think to be matted fur is not matted fur and is just tight, sinewy skin stretched across muscle and bone. And you see this skin sort of moves up to where their head should be, and you see just a skull sort of protrude longer than it should be. Almost a raven-like beak is at there, but you see that it is the lupine jaws of some sort of wolf-like creature that moves out, and you notice that its paws are not paws, and they are clawed hands as they move forward. And you can hear this like almost laughing, almost like snickering, high-pitched noise as one of them flicks its head over to another one. It makes a similar guttural laughter-like noise as it moves forward, as 6 of these things are encroaching on where you are. And then all at once, a shrill noise cuts through the air. A single note, sharp and resonant, followed by another and another, and quickly a little song plays. And you see all of these creatures stop, and they look up towards the top of the skull. You see several of them sort of sit back, and you realize how long their arms are as they sort of sit, and you see a very almost humanoid torso as they look up towards this creature. One of them looks over to another one, and they turn and begin to leave. Seydlitz, what do you do when you see this? You are muted somehow.
You're muted.
Ironically, that wasn't muted. That was me testing an audio source to see if my noise is working.
It wasn't.
And apparently, video doesn't like it. All right. Seydlitz at one point basically had raised his crossbow and getting ready for a possible fight, but he kept quiet about it and saw since they're leaving, he lowered his crossbow once more, and he tries to look up where the noise came from.
You kind of stick your head out and you look up and you see like rocks and pebbles fall as if something is atop there. And you kind of squint your eyes in the darkness and you see that there is a vaguely humanoid form that is slowly clambering down the face of this skull towards you.
Seydlitz kind of does a knock on his crossbow, like a light 2 taps, see if he can grab the thing's whatever it is attention.
Okay, you like knock you make a sound, and you see it stop for a second, and then continue climbing down.
Seydlitz leaves it be. He agrees that things should be quiet. The rest of the group, other than Antares ones, have been mostly quiet, so...
You watch, you sort of back in, you like tuck your head back in as this thing continues to climb down. And then once it gets to a certain point, you see it sort of, not exactly leap gracefully, but you see it sort of like release itself from the face of this giant and almost like collapse into a crouch at the front of the thing. And he is standing, or he's collapsed in front of the mouth. And you see what is ostensibly a man. He begins to rise up from his collapsed position. Tall, probably a good like 6'5", 6'7". He's a tall boy. And you see that he is thin in a way that like he has not eaten much, but you can see in his thinness, you can see all of the muscle and sinew, almost like these creatures you saw before you. You can see his skin is stretched tight across abs, across obliques. It looks like this guy was ripped at one point. You see that he has a cloak that is pieced together by scavenged fabrics. You also recognize that there are several pieces of cloth stitched in to these more natural fabrics. You see a piece of cloth that has a torn symbol bearing the Whitecaps symbol on it. You see several other Delver's Guild symbols torn and woven into both his clothing and his cloak. You see that his hair is sort of like matted and braided and half dreaded in places. He has a long beard with like pieces of bone in there. And you see that on his arm are like tattoos of strange symbols and sigils. And you see that in one hand is an almost like obsidian, like there's a little bit of a glint to it, black flute. You see that he is wearing what makes for armor, but it is made of bone. You see on his shoulder, beneath the cloak, is one of the skulls of the creatures you just saw. And he sort of rises up and cracks his neck and body as he straightens himself up. And he looks to you and more growls than anything. You brought too much light with you. This deep doesn't like the light.
Seydlitz is going to step out of the skull towards the opening and speak, assuming maybe, it's just in there that they can't speak.
What do you say?
Thank you for the warning, stranger. I shall tell them to extinguish it, but the rule of no speaking in there is rock solid, is it not?
This place likes the quiet. No names. And he looks over as he says no names. And he looks like pointedly at the statues as if there is some sort of something happening with those statues. Like he says no names, looks at the statue, looks back to you as if he was checking on something. And he starts to move as if he's going to move past you and into the head.
Seydlitz isn't going to stop him. This is clearly someone who's local here, so he would know better.
He walks in and almost as if to ignore what you had said about the not speaking, and loud enough to echo down the mouth of this head, he says, "If you've all come to die here, at least have the decency not to wake the old things when you do it." And the three of you inside turn and you see this 6'5", 6'7" tall man, bedraggled, and looking like he lives here. As he walks in, regardless of if anyone addresses him, he walks straight in, straight over to Korax, leans forward or possibly over Korax, and blows out the candle.
Korax continues to write whatever is in the last of the smoke.
And Terrence just gives him a look. Are you Lure-san?
Seydlitz, where are you?
Still by the entryway.
Seydlitz, you have no idea what just happened, but you watch as one of the stone giants, the statues, turns its head towards the entrance of the mouth of the giant head. No names.
Fuck.
Seydlitz looks back to Antares and nods.
She just shrugs and be like, okay, whatever. And
Why are you here?
gestures to Korax to do the talking.
Why are you here?
We're looking for someone. And he points to Antares, the person that was mentioned.
And why do you find him?
We need to find a way out of this deep. We have family that are close by that we need to get out. They need to get back to the surface.
Are you the cause of the Night Beast?
I can't say that I am, and I can't say that I'm not. Apparently, I'm not. I was told I was not.
I don't go up.
But you know how to get up so others can go?
Yes.
Can you show us the way? Because the one who says that the Night Beast is hunting them wants to go.
He looks to you. Looks to Antares, Mina, down the mouth. Why have you come to this temple? Why did you light the candle of remembrance?
The candle, I'd like to say, speaks to me. It resonates with me. And it seemed to have information that was worth the world knowing existed. You said no names here, so I don't really want to mention who or what we are. But if we get somewhere where we can say things, it'll make things clearer as to why I lit it, at least, not while we're here.
Corax, there is something unsettling about this man. And as you continue to have this conversation, trying to be as even keel as possible in an uncertain time, it dawns on you what is making you so uncomfortable. And you realize in the entire time since he's turned to speak to all of you, this man has not blinked once. I will tell you how to leave. And then you will leave. This place is not for you. This deep is not for you. This deep is for the monsters and the beasts and the things that ought be forgotten.
This deep is not our destination. It's a step on the road.
Your destination is up.
Our destination is
Correct,
down.
sure.
He pauses for a second and then crouches back into that like weird position you found you first saw him in Seydlitz. And again in that like aggressive growly tone, he says, "Why?"
Pardon my interruption, but I seek answers down there.
Answers to what?
No names.
Correct smiles.
I am pressed to give one good turn. I will show you up, or I will show you down. Decide.
Corex looks at Seydlitz and then back to Lurissant and says, if you show us down, the Night Beast never leaves. So we will ask you to show us up.
He looks at
For
you,
you.
and he cocks his head the way an animal does, and he says, "The night beast never leaves."
The nice beast is hunting someone, and that's who we want to go up.
Hunt or not, a beast always returns home. The night beast never leaves.
In the background, Seydlitz lets out a sigh because he's now figuring out, is like, do I want to convince them to try to go down on the simple basis of asking such would mean asking Korax and Mina to sacrifice their families for his own.
Not necessarily true. Arelthis said she has this.
Korax squints and looks at Lurasant again and says, why can't you show us both?
I am bound to one turn. One good turn. I will help you once.
Bound by who?
No names.
Bound by what?
The maker of beasts.
Past or
Korax,
present?
you recognize the title, the maker of beasts, as the god Typhon, the god of monsters.
Korax still asks his question. The current or past?
The only.
Did they survive multiple falls?
He grins a very, jagged yellow toothy grin. Survival is a matter of perspective. He lives.
Korax takes a step back off of the mosaic on the floor. He says, from before this one?
Before all of them.
Have you seen him?
Yes. This
Korax will remember
last.
Chris is bad. Korax is going to describe what he saw at the tree, the being that he saw at the tree, and he would describe them. Is this him?
He looks to you and says, "No. This was his last." And he motions to the mosaic.
So he never saw the last one. The most recent.
Yes.
Korax looks to the others and says, he's way older than our fall. And he looks to Seydlitz specifically and says, basically saying Seydlitz and Mina, and he says, if he can only show us one way, you know what my vote's going to be. I'm sure we can find down. I don't know if we can find up in time.
Seydlitz closes his eyes in a moment of contemplation. He is going to wait for any argument until he's heard everybody else's.
And Terry's just been like leaning against the wall, like picking at her nail and like chewing on it while they've been talking, arms crossed. And she will glance at Korak. She's like, I agree with you. And then she will look to Seydlitz. And she will say, with more, like the aloofness leaves her face and her voice. Are you sure this is something that you need to do? Just like them. And she's motioning to Mina and Korax. You have a family waiting for you. They're real. And they love you. And to possibly throw all that away for an answer you could very well die for.
Seydlitz slowly turns to Mina to hear what Mina has to say.
In what little light there is, you just see Mina's face look very torn. And he just says, she told us she had it. I trust in her. We need to go down. She said we had our own mission to do.
And Terry sucks air through her teeth.
Seydlitz walks over to Korax, and with just a single look into Korax's eyes, he's going to ask the question, how much faith do you have in her?
Korax smiles. We worship them all my life. What is life without the faith? So all of it. I know who she is. I know the stories. But they could just be stories. But I believe.
We came down here on 2 missions, I believe. 1, to rescue the people, and 2, for me to help me find answers. Even though I wish to find out the truth, I really do. I cannot ask so many lives be given up for my chance at one answer that I could have so many years to find out in the future anyway. I can always come back.
Korax looks at him and says, are you sure?
If we are to be gods, how many eons do we have?
Well, I don't know about you, but I've died once. So maybe not as many as we think.
And I might die for that answer. But I cannot ask them to die for me.
Mina approaches Korax and says, have you got your map?
He didn't leave it with Arel, so he would have it with him. He pulls it out. Well, he puts his hand on the pocket where it is. Says, I have it.
Um, M- Mina will incline his head to their friend and say, maybe he can show us the way on the map, and you can send that pray to my mother and send her that information. Give her that knowledge.
The way up.
Mina looks at Seydlitz and just nods.
Seydlitz turns. Shit, I'm trying to remember his name already. Luceren, without saying his name. Luceren. I have it wrote down wrong in my notes. Turns to Luceren. Can you show us on the map the way up so we can send that information to them? If we are to go down, I guess we'll have to find the way ourselves.
This will be a parting of allies. And he takes the scroll and he rolls it out. And you see him reach for this golden wax candle, and he grabs the top of it, and you see his fingertips, like blackened long nails, scrape into the wax, and he pulls away soot from the tip of the wick. You see him take his stone or obsidian flute, and he rolls it across the map, and you see it leaves almost like a stamp of like black dust or whatever it is across this. And you watch as he rolls this wax and soot together to form this sort of like almost like a flat disc, like in his hand, like Play-Doh. And with one of his thumbnail, he reaches across to the back of his hand, from his right thumbnail to the back of his left hand, and he scrapes across the webbing between his first finger and his thumb, and sort of cuts into that webbing. And you watch as he applies that blood to this waxy lump. And then you see him press this thing and grind his palm into your map, heating up the wax, and you watch as he spreads it out and then re-rolls his flute across this thing. And as he does, the wax peels away, and you see a black, almost like chalk etching of the third deep, and a red blood trail that points the way to the surface. And he steps back, and the scroll sort of rolls up on itself. He says, "Do not find me. Do not seek me. Do not seek the priest. And do not seek the maker of beasts. Descend and be done with you." And he starts to make his way out of the mouth.
Before he leaves, Corax looks from the map to him and says, "Just know that if the information you've provided is wrong and that you've sent them to their death, information about this place will become very well known. And we'll try and get as many bad things in here as we can. Or at least I will."
You hear a sound that only Seydlitz recognizes as that similar guttural yet high-pitchy laugh that those creatures made. And he turns to you, just looking over his shoulder, so you can see one yellowish eye. And he says, I was bound to one good turn. And if you think you can bring horrors here that don't already live here, I laugh at your jest. And there's that same hyena-like high-pitched laugh as he strides out past everyone. You have a map out of the third deep.
Corax would then roll out the map in front of him, study it as best he can, and then begin to pray to Arelphus.
Okay. You roll this map out.
It
looks almost like a chalk rubbing, like of a mosaic, or like a chalk rubbing of like a gravestone, with that color swatch of a pathway. You begin to pray to Arelphus. This vision of the map in your mind. And thanks to our lovely, lovely viewers here, namely Melissa and Snow, Corruption Bar, the final one of the night. You reach out to Arelphus, praying for her to hear her name in your prayers to deliver this message. You do not find her. Your prayers go unanswered.
After trying for what would probably feel like ages, he rolls up the map and looks up directly at Mina and says, I can't reach her, we need to go. And he turns, he'll literally stand and run through the door.
And that's where we end this episode of The Rise.
What?
What do you mean, what?
What?
That was dramatic as fuck.
It kind of was. And what do you mean, what? It's
That was
like,
perfect. That was perfectly dramatic. I couldn't have written that better for Chris if I had done it myself. That was 10 out of 10. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I fully expected you guys to go. This is some green room shit. I fully expect you guys to take the map down. I was shocked when Seydlitz said you gotta give us the map to go up. Wild. I gotta redo some notes. Mad Terry's is back in the house. Angry G. Dude, that eye roll is perpetually on the internet.
That's not 2 hours. That's not a full session.
I'm sorry. I shorted you 9 minutes for a perfect exit.
We didn't start till almost quarter after.
For my curiosity, if I had started saying names, what would have happened?
The statues would have moved. The more you say, the more the statues move. The area, where you are is a place of naming. It is a place of historical, where like the naming of things has significance, and that's why it touched in the sphere of knowledge. Is because it was knowledge that Corax didn't have, or knowledge that Corax didn't understand, but it was knowledge. The names of dead gods, of the old gods, essentially, is new knowledge to Corax. But yeah, had you continued to say names, they would have reacted. They would have done something, which would be very interesting to see what happens. I was also interested in seeing the bone jackal fight. Those things are called. They're called bone jackals, which I made them up, and they are sufficiently gross and creepy. So that's fun. Yeah, this was a fun little. I didn't know where you guys were gonna go today, and I definitely did not think you were gonna take the map and say go up. That one threw me for a loop. But that is it for this session, despite how grumpy G is about it. Let's go around, do our introduction so we can get the hell out of here. And if you're a patron over on our Patreon, you get the after show of this show, where you get to hear everyone give their thoughts and watch G yell at me. So let's go around, do our outro. We'll start, of course, with Chris. Who are you? Where can we find you? And what are you up to?
I'm Chris aka Necro. You can find me here in the the Rise campaign in the Patreon one-shots, which are next weekend. We do still have a space in the one-shot, so if you do want to join, make sure you sign up to the Patreon, as well as nowhere else, because the Age of Always is finished.
That's true. That is true. Stay tuned for more information on Atari Twilight and where it goes from here. But that being said, let's jump over to Norm. Who are you? Where can we find you? What are you up to?
I'm Normal Snow. You can find me here in the Patreon campaign and in the one-shots and occasionally in the Discord.
Hell yeah. Next up, G, who are you? Where can we find you? What are you up to?
Hi, I'm G, the Friendly Neighborhood Lighting Invoker. You can find me in all things unMadeGaming, the Patreon or the one shots next weekend, next Saturday, and then the Mundus Novus campaign next Sunday. And in the Discord.
Hell yeah.
I think that's it.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
And last but not least, Matt, who are you? Where can we find you? What are you up to?
I am Matt or DE on Mike's Discord. You can find me there. Here in the Patreon campaign in the Patreon one-shots coming up next weekend. So catch you all there, maybe, hopefully,
yeah.
possibly.
Hell freaking yeah.
And you can basically find me nowhere else.
Great. Everyone join us in the Discord. That being said, again, if you guys like what we do here and you want to support the channel, the best way to do it is just like these fine folks over on our Patreon link down below. Link for the Discord also down there. That's where all the magic happens. Go check us out in the Discord. Come hang out, chit-chat about this game, all the other games, all that fun stuff. I think that's it for us. We'll see you guys next time. So from all of us to you guys, bye-bye.